What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Full Throttle Auto. My name is Harris, and today I'm going to be installing a reverse camera on my 2G DSM. Well, now that that's kind of over with, so I went with a webcam that I found on Amazon.com. It's a Nautica reverse camera. It's not a 1080p camera. I couldn't find for some reason anywhere a 1080p camera, which was very weird. The highest I could find was 720p. So I just went with this one just because it had the best ratings. And the other reason, the biggest reason, is I love the actual connection of this camera, which you have your main wiring that goes from the head unit to the back of the car, and then the camera itself has a detachable part that goes to that part, so that way if you ever change your bumper on your car, you can just do the short distance, not the whole wiring harness that goes to the car. That's pretty simple. As you can see, we get the full wiring kit. We also get a little trim removal tool, which you're going to need for the radio to move that out. You also get some spacers slash anglers slash rubber sealants, and then of course the nut to put and also some electrical tape, which is pretty cool. All right, now that that's done, let's get into installing it. Now, of course, first things first, you're going to need a head unit that has a double DIN that can take a reverse camera plug-in. I particularly have an Automotive here that I bought on Amazon. It's got great reviews and I like it. It runs full Android system instead of like what Pioneers or Sony's or whatever they run for their systems. This is a full Android based system, which means you can run Android apps on it, but then of course it can also act as a standalone device. As long as you put your phone on hotspot, it can actually have Wi-Fi and it has GPS and everything like that. So that's the unit I went with. I didn't do a video on this mainly because the wiring in here was so messed up that I just had my buddy do the whole install. He took his time and got that all set up. It was just crazy, so I didn't do a video on that. But you will need one of these. You don't need the Android-based system. Of course, you can do like a Pioneer or JVC or Sony or any of the other, or Alpine or any of those other companies. They all should, all the double DINs that have a screen like this should accept a reverse camera. Okay, now that that's out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and first attach the main wiring harness to the back of this unit and run it on the passenger side to the back. So let's go ahead and do that. So on the back of this system, there is a RCE in, which is rear camera in. So you're gonna go ahead and take that and plug in your rear camera in. And then of course, you're going to plus this red wire into whatever your wiring says, but mine's labeled here, which does say rear camera, and then it has a plus sign, which is the positive that you want to connect here. And of course, if I did forget to mention this before, which not if, I definitely did, you're going to want to make sure that the battery is disconnected while you're doing this. Always make sure to have the right tool, because right now I didn't bring all my tools, so I'm having to work with what I found here, and that didn't help. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just using these butt splicers or butt connectors or whatever you want to call them. Not soldering, whatever the word is. Because one, I'm just not good at it, and two, I don't have a soldering tool. So we're just gonna go with the most simple and easy option while we're here. Now the soldering is probably gonna give you the better connection, but this is what I'm doing, and yeah. If I'm saying the word wrong, I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments. that that's all plugged in and connected up, I'm not gonna fully attach this until we fully set up in the back. And then once that's done, we're gonna go ahead and test it before we tighten everything up. Now you still do have to, if you can see here, this is the other end of this wire. Obviously that's where the camera connects, but then you also have a ground and a power that you have to attach to the back, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. I believe for the power, we're going to connect to the reverse light, so that way it gets triggered. And then also for the ground, I think we can just find somewhere back there where we can plug that in, but I'm going to do that real quick. Since I am going to be routing it from here, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it's not just sitting in the open and it actually has it's actually hidden, so we're going to do that as well. Now some people will run it through the top. I'm going to run it through the side here just because that's a hatch, and I'm going to be replacing that hatch at some point, so I'd rather run it through the bottom floor here just because it's going to be on the bumper, not on the hatch anyways for the camera. Little Phillips screw here that you're going to have to take off to remove this trim, so you can run it easily through here. We have the wire close to where we want it. As I mentioned, I'm doing it on the bumper, not on the hatch or anywhere here. I'm going to do it right between the two lights, pretty much like you would see on a lot of factory cars. Since this is a bumper and it's plastic, it's fiberglass, it's replaceable. If something goes wrong with this bumper, I can always take the camera out, replace the bumper, and then drill a new hole in the new bumper. I've already looked into it and kind of know where I want the camera to be. I'm going to have it as far as back as possible, so that way if it rains, the rain doesn't get on the camera, even though it is waterproof. So it's going to be as close to the license plate as possible. So that shouldn't be too much of an issue. So we're going to go ahead and drill a hole there, just enough to basically get these threaded ones in there, and we'll go in from there. Alright, so for this end, you're going to have to, one, have a ground, and then obviously splice into a wire. What I'm doing is using a, it's called a T-tap, or a wire splice, or whatever you want to call it. This particular one is going to splice into the positive, and then you're going to connect this in there. What you're going to want to do is find your reverse light. This happens to be it on the Talon. Obviously, you're going to put that there. You might need to crush it with some wires or pliers to get a good. I'm going to try to use this. Let's see if this works. Okay. Alright, so that's in. And as for the ground, I'm just going to use this bolt right here. Looks like the paint's already been worn off on this section, so I'm going to just take this out and put this in and clamp it down, and then we'll test it out. Alright, so we're going to connect it up, And now I'm gonna plug in the battery and see if I get any kind of video out of this. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yes.
Dude. Ah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that was the right way. Hey, all right, let's finish this up. And there it is. The camera is officially installed in. It's pretty tight from what I can reach. And I'm extremely excited about this just because it's going to make easier this thing to back up. Now, for the next video, I do want to put in the Spider version of the reverse lights, which go here, because as you can see, this particular car doesn't have the reverse lights. On the GSX or really any Eclipse 95 and up, the reverse lights were in the bumper, and on the Talon they were by the license plate. So since this bumper didn't come with the reverse lights in the bumper, and I really don't want to drill any holes, I'm going to do the Spider version of the reverse lights here, but I will then of course have to drill this for the actual bulbs to fit through here, through the metal. So that'll be the next project, but for now I'm super excited about the reverse. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're wondering, actually real quick, if you're wondering why would you do this to a Talon, what does it matter, there are two technologies that I believe should be in all cars. I don't care for technology in cars, but there are only two that I'm okay with, and I think it makes sense: Bluetooth and reverse camera. Reverse camera just helps in any situation. Backing up, if you're backing up to you know, a parking spot that has one of those cement, what are they called, stoppers or whatever you want to call, for that reason. And then of course, you're doing a parallel parking job, you're backing up in a parking lot, anything like that will help you with. So that's why I want that. And of course Bluetooth, because we shouldn't be on our phones, and it's just easier to sync a phone with Bluetooth and have all your entertainment. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.
Get it!